Here is picture I drew of Aaron. He is crying a little bit, but it's okay. They're manly tears. He's crying for good reason. So there's occasionally time and place for that. And this is the time and this is the place, my friends.
Attack on Titan, episode 14. Can't look into his eyes.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the epic and gruesomely written and, I guess, animated title that is called Shingeki no Kyojin, also known as Attack on Titan. And really the last episode, episode 13, left us with finally seeing some closure and a win for humanity. Took some heavy casualties. Ultimately, Aaron was chained up and being held by the military police. But Levi and Erwin, had basically said that they would let him join the Survey Corps. And that's how everything ended. That was the mid-season finale over here. So we have, this one picks up. And there's a new opening and a new, a new intro, new outro for the second half of the season. I'm not going to dwell too much on it. I know that there has been much talk about it. But ultimately, I think that it's a different feel and tempo for the second half of the season. And many shows do this type of thing, whether it be an anime or a cartoon or a long-running TV series, even though sometimes they'll change little things around about it. So I definitely think it's different. I don't think it's better or worse. I think the animation is on point. I don't think the music is as upbeat and kind of like getting you charged up as the first one was. But again, I mean, they're just two different. They're so different that it's not comparing apples to apples. So that's just my opinion on that. The episode starts out though where Aaron is still handcuffed and chained up, and he's basically awaiting this trial. They're going to have this tribunal. We're introduced also a couple minutes into the episode to this commander-in-chief of all three divisions, Darius Zackley. And he basically is in charge of, he's not basically, he is in charge of the military police, the garrison, and the Survey Corps. So, he's the head honcho there. And he's the one that's been chosen to, to basically head up this tribunal, to be like the judge of this tribunal that they're going to have, which is more or less like Aaron going to court. What has gone on here is that some of the townsfolk, as well as the military police and everything else, some are scared of Aaron. They think that hey, listen, there's a Titan among us. It's a trap. He's going to turn into a Titan. We're not going to be able to control him. All the people that are letting fear and paranoia rule them. And then there's others that are like, hey man, he's the savior. We were able to get Trost back. Maybe we can reclaim Wall Maria. And so there's those that, so there's two different distinct camps. There's ones that want to see him dead, and there's ones that, of course, think he's the savior. So we also see a brief exchange as well between Erwin and Commander Pixis. And he's kind of strolling along, and even Erwin goes and makes mention of like, hey, don't you think people would talk if they see that we're like having a secret talk, the commander of the military police and the commander of the Survey Corps. And Pixis is like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just on my morning stroll, and we're just having some idle chit-chat while we're walking around. So he's the one that kind of informs him, like, hey, listen, of course, he doesn't want anything to happen to Aaron, but the military police are basically saying, we want you to give him to us because we're going to kill him, And, of course, the Survey Corps wants to have him be given to them so he can join the Survey Corps and help them, to reclaim Wall Maria. That's kind of their whole game with that. I shouldn't say game, but that's the end game, at least right now for that. So they want, one camp kind of wants, they want to do away with him. Another camp, because they're scared of him. And another camp is pretty much, hey, we're going to use him to our advantage. So ultimately we see Aaron, kind of goes back and forth a couple times into the prison, and we see him just being treated poorly. And it really, as far as I'm concerned, it's unnecessary, because regardless, you've got him chained and everything else. You don't need to go and treat him like a piece of crap. He's done nothing wrong. If anything, he helped to save thousands of lives. So we also see that Armin and Mikasa, who are kind of sitting off and talking, and they're talking about this tribunal that's going to happen, and basically they are called into to be like witnesses in this court. And this court's really like a fallacy. It's really kind of like the trial that they had. Anybody who played the recent Gears of War Judgment game, the whole thing revolves around this trial that happened, and the trial is just, it's a complete hoax. It's bullshit. You know, it's the same type of thing. It's led by pompous ass people who are scared, and by some that, you know, have never even fought or seen any of these Titans. So, you know, really what winds up happening with this whole trial, and this takes place during the majority of the episode, is you have, you know, I mean, Pixis, when he was talking with Erwin on the wall, was basically just trying to kind of warn him of what was going to happen, and basically just saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to cast my lot with the military police, but, you know, hopefully you can, you know, change Darius's mind, because this Darius, exactly, he's going to let Eren live or die based on what's best for the community, what's best for everybody, okay, like what's best for humankind. So if he thinks that there's any danger of Eren being around, he's just going to sentence him to death, you know. So they've obviously got to be strong in their arguments. And both sides kind of bring it, you know, and you see the paranoia, you see the fear in the side with the military police, and even some of this, like, kind of like religious leader, I guess you would call him. A few years ago, he was the one that was preaching and talking about how, you know, hell was going to rain down upon us and everything else. So you see some of that get brought in. I don't know how it's going to play out in future episodes, if there's going to be any play into religion. I'm kind of curious to see. But really, ultimately, what you see is you kind of see those that just sort of fear what could happen, and it's all the unknowns. You know, it's like me being as scared to go outside because I could get run over by a car, because people get run over all the time. I'm going to take my chances that, as long as I'm careful and I look both ways before crossing the street and I use some common sense, that it's going to be a 1 in a million chance that I'm going to get hit by a car. I'm not going to not cross the street because of the fear of it. But these people are so scared that, you know, that are arguing for Eren's death, that it's basically just a, like, you know what, it's unknown. He's his powers are unknown. He's an unknown. Let's just do away with him. Let's eradicate him, you know. And you can really kind of argue for either side, because then you go and you see, you know, Erwin basically is real simple and straightforward in what he says, and he says, listen, we think he can help us to reclaim Wall Maria, and that's what we want to do. And that was, I mean, that was, you know, a third of they lost, you know, 20% of the population when Wall Maria, of course, fell. But then they also lost a third of their territory. I mean, this is huge area. We're talking, you know, square miles of rivers and forest and everything else, you know, that they're going to boldly try to reclaim. So, you know, ultimately, and then this Darius, exactly, he kind of seems like a pompous ass, but they wind up, and Eren, you know, he's handcuffed to this post the whole time and everything, and like I said, just really a sickening thing after this guy went and saved them at Trost, but that's how it is. So Eren goes and gets a chance to speak, and instead of going and kind of, you know, playing things cool, I mean, he does go and tell Darius, you know, he tells him, listen, I'm not a harm, I'm not going to harm anybody, I'm not going to change into a Titan and kill anybody. But what happens is they wind up saying, well, yeah, but at Trost, it's reported that you turned into the Titan and you attacked, you know, Mikasa Ackerman, right? And then even Mikasa has to go and back it up and say, yeah, that's true, but... And everybody's like, oh, you see, we told you, we're scared, And that's where, like I said, you see a lot of that fear come into play. So Eren ultimately gets really pissed off, because then they're even accusing Mikasa of being a traitor, and is she even human and everything else. So Eren just kind of flips out, and he goes... And he calls them all out. He says, you're all a bunch of pussies, is basically what he's telling them. He says, you know, you take your best, your most talented, your brightest, and then you go and you hide them behind the deepest walls where they never actually can be a help and a service to mankind. You know, you guys are so cowardly and so worried about having your tail between your legs and running off that you lost sight of what we're here to do. You know, we're here to band together as humanity's last stand against these Titans. And, you know, and you guys are over here bickering whether I can be used as an asset or whether I can be killed. And, you know, and he basically tells them, you know, you're cowards. So at that point, somebody goes in from the side, and the courtroom goes and, like, raises their gun, you know, out of fear, like he's going to shoot him. And all of a sudden, Lance Corporal Levi comes in there, or Captain Levi. He comes in and just nails Eren, you know, and knocks a tooth out. Wow, when you see a tooth go flying in blood. And then, I mean, he just starts beating the living shit out of him, right? And as he's beating the shit out of him, he's doing this to illustrate a point. He's going and showing that, number one, he's this big, strong badass, because ultimately, after he beats him to within an inch of his life, he asks exactly, he says, listen, give him to the Survey Corps. If he even has a hint of anything going wrong or tries to pull anything, I'll kill him. And I'm the only one strong enough to do it. Or you know, you're basically showing, like, you know, I'm the big badass. But I think he also went and beat the shit out of him like that to show people, the naysayers in the crowd, that, listen, I just went and just busted him up bad. I mean, he's probably got busted ribs. His tooth is knocked out. I mean, even though he can regenerate, that's besides the point. A lot of people probably don't even know that. He just got beat to within an inch of his life while he was handcuffed there. And he didn't get angry and change into a Titan. He didn't try to kill anybody, you know. So ultimately, that's kind of what his plea is. But I tell you, I mean, it's for, for a minute or two, we see this beating take place. And I mean, he's kicking him and stomping him and punching him. And I mean, Levi just lays into him. And Mikasa, man, goes to say, I swear to God, I don't tell my wife I said this, but I wish I was married to a woman like that, because man, she sees Eren start to get beat. She gets up and she's going to go after him. It's only Armin that holds her back and is able to get her to sit back down. But anyway, all kidding aside, though, Eren winds up being thankfully released to the Survey Corps, and we do see a brief right before the end of the episode. Right at the end of the episode, we see Eren pretty much just like slumped over. He's been beaten, obviously, very, very badly. And Levi just kind of like looks at him and he just says, like, do you hate me or do you resent me for doing that to you? And Eren looks at him and says, no. He understands why he did it and that he needed to do it. And then also, I meant to mention earlier, we were introduced to another member, kind of weird member of the Survey Corps. Well, there's a couple of weird members, but the one, this Hanji Zoe, she like appeared by his cell earlier, by Eren's cell, and it actually kind of made me jump. I was like, what the hell? And she's fascinated with Titans, is what it is. So she winds up going and picking up Eren's tooth that had been knocked out by Levi, and then goes and looks, and they're like, what the hell are you doing with that, you weirdo? And she goes and she looks at Eren, she goes, oh, well, his tooth already regrew anyway, so it's not like it even matters, right? So we see the regenerating powers, that Eren has, and certainly that's going to help him to heal quicker than I guess his Wolverine-like healing factor will help him to heal quicker than the next guy. But still, we see that, that ultimately what Levi's beating, it served its purpose. You know what I mean? It showed them that, hey, listen, he can be controlled. And if you can get beaten that badly and not change your form or get angry or whatever, you're going to be okay. You're going to be in good hands. So it was kind of cool. And what I mentioned about the two weirdos is that when he was being escorted to the trial by that Hanji Zoe, there was this other guy, and I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's some weirdo with like this little shit stash, one of those little mustaches, and he like was sniffing him. It was like. And I just thought that was goofy. And then she's like, "Oh, that's just so and so. He just likes, he just likes to sniff people." And then afterwards, he smirks, and you just kind of see him go, and just make like this creepy pedophile-like smile. And it's just like, are you kidding me, man? Like, I think I seen you on America's Most Wanted. Like, aren't you? Isn't there a reward out for you? Didn't you like, rape 19 chickens and like kill a donkey or something? Anyways, he just there's definitely some odd characters in the Survey Corps. So. We will see. Hopefully, we'll be introduced to some other ones, and maybe there'll be a couple of normal ones. But so far, they looks like all you have to do is be batshit crazy, and you can be part of it. So, my question, though, my episode question is: what mentality would you be of if you were in this situation? Would you be scared to let Eren live like the military police and want to have him killed for fear that he may be a danger or a threat in the future? Or would you be, of the mind of the Survey Corps? Hey, listen, let's utilize him as a weapon, and let's do all we can to get him to help humanity. Let's bring together and let's play the odds, man. So let me know what the answer to that question is in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
Remember, brothers and sisters, to share, subscribe, spread the word of the nation to others, and of course, if you like watching the videos, watching them is always much appreciated. Have a nice day.